Jimmy's got the mic, the crowd goes wild, talking dreams we chased since we were both just a child.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for joining me again and another episode here that I'm very excited about, as usual. And it's very seldom I'm not excited about having guests on and bringing people in. So, again, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this gentleman on right now. Matt Plumer, my man, how are you? How are things with you and what's going on?
Jimmy, what's up, my man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my friend. Happy New Year, my friend. I hope things are well for you. We'll give you your applause there. We'll welcome you into the studio. I like to give people their due. You know, when they come on the show, I like to give people their applause and give them their due. So that's what I'm always good for. So look, I'm very excited to get you on today. I know we met in Miami at EXPCon and had some good conversation there, and then continued it on. So I was excited to get you in studio and so to speak. But you're where it's warm, I'm where it's cold. That's kind of how it works out, and go from there. But tell me about what's going on with you. What's the newest? What's the latest, and everything that's happening with you?
Yeah, so appreciate you having me on. EXPCon was great. I mean, I absolutely love events, not necessarily for what's done on stage, but it's all in the break rooms, in the sidebar conversations, in the suites, right, at the cocktail hours, right. That kind of stuff is just where relationships all happen. So, and I talk about that in my wealth method and stuff, is like how to make sure we get to the events. So shout out to you for being there, man. It's always great. Yeah. I would say, the thing I'm most excited about in 2025 is, getting into the trenches and getting in front of and having conversations with agents. I have a massive goal to inspire and impact, tens of thousands of real estate agents this year through these channels of podcast or live events, my own Instagram channels, et cetera. So excited to get my voice out there in front of the real estate agents to help them create stress-free wealth, whether that means, hey, we need to get caught up on debt and get that to zero, or, maybe saving or investing is our priority this year. Or maybe it's just to sell the right amount of real estate to actually go create the thing that they want to go create. So I'm fired up about 25. We made it. 24 was a hell of a year. So anyone listening to this, you made it. Congratulations. And let's rock and roll. 25, thrive in 25, right?
That's it. Thrive in 25. I love it. And one of the things you bring it up, it's we talk about this with real estate agents all the time. And one of the things that I do with a 90-day business plan that I work on with agents all the time is then part of it, what we talk about is like their gap income too, right? Like what's their survival number compared to what they want to make, right? And I have to explain this. Their survival number doesn't include the Corvette, right? Like you don't need the Corvette to survive. Yeah. The survival number is what does it take for groceries and electricity and to put the food on the table. Like that's your survival number. So you're talk about your program and how it kind of came about and where you thought about it.
Yeah. So, before I was in real estate and well before I was even talking to people around money, I had to go through my own transformation. And that all started actually back in the early 2010, like my wife and I had just gotten married. I was 300 pounds. I'd always fought weight my entire life. Always fought addiction of some sort my entire life. And so my rock bottom moment, and like the moment where I knew things had to change, was I was on a couch, counselor's couch with my wife, and 300 pounds, alcoholic, addictive sports gambler, smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, fast food twice a day. And little did I know we were $500,000 in debt. Story for a little bit later, but yeah. My wife and I was asked a very important question, and the thing that I can pin a decision on was when I was asked by our counselor if I could go 90 days without a drink. And I know that has nothing to do with money. I know that has nothing to do with real estate, but that's where our transformation started. Mine and my wife's was that decision to go 90 days without a drink. I didn't want to do it. I didn't do it. I actually started with a weight loss transformation, but I was asked, like I said, a specific question. I denied the result of me doing it. I said, I think my wife will still be the type of person she is today. So I was looking external. I wasn't looking internal. And he said, Matt, you've got 12 months or you're going to be dead, divorced, in jail or broke. And I can bring everything that has happened in these last 12 years to that moment of awareness, decision, and intentionality. That, hey, that was my moment where I have to make a decision to change, and I have to be intentional with that. So it actually all started with a weight loss journey that led to saying, I'm not going to drink today, which was May 19th, 2012. And here we are almost 13 years later, sober and drinking, gambling, and smoking, 12, 13 years later. Did all of that, lost 100 pounds. And my wife and I realized we were $500,000 in debt. Like, we had to go through all of that to realize that we had a mess with our money. Yeah. And got exposed to Dave Ramsey, went to Financial Peace University, saw other people who wanted some sort of a transformation in a room in church. And I was like, I saw and heard how Dave had unpacked this for tens of millions of people. I'm like, this is just math at this point, because we had already done the hard stuff. Forget the money. You can always go make more money and live on less. Like, you can create that delta pretty quick. So we did a really good job of lowering the water, which is reducing lifestyle, like figuring out A to B, like what does it take January to March or January to February. And 40 months later, we did our debt-free scream on the Dave Ramsey show. But I needed a way to go make more money. I reached out to my buddy who sold a ton of real estate. And I said, hey, man, thinking about getting into real estate. He was like, come on. I've been waiting for this call for 5 years. He's like, I don't know what took so long. And I was there in the market center in Northern Virginia, about ready to get my first $10,000 check. I sold the right house to the right person, made $10,000 my first check. And I was asking real estate agents what they would do. Now, if we just paid off all of our debt, I knew what to do personally with money, Jimmy. I knew what to do with the money. I knew how to give. I knew how to save. I knew how to spend at that point. But I didn't know what happened with business money. So I started asking people that have already sold a crap ton of real estate before. And what I didn't hear was invest in real estate, hire a coach, find an admin, to create lead generation channels and methods. I heard pay last year's taxes and next month's car note.
Yep.
And I'm like, these are the people that I'm going to go impact. The buyer and the seller, day one, was no longer my client. My client and the people I was going to impact was the real estate agent, the real estate team leader, the real estate broker. And over the next handful of years, I sold some real estate because I still had people call me. I could still serve those people, right? But my passion quickly became to helping, the Jimmy Nelsons of the world take the money they're going to make and organize it in a way that they could create stress-free wealth.
That's amazing. And so spot on. Like, when you start talking to real estate agents, a lot of times, about business, like what's your profit and loss statement look like, right? Like, just basic, what's a profit? And then it's like, I don't know, profit comes in, I pay my bills. That's it. There was no other strength to it. And we're quick to hire a coach to help us call FSBOs. We're quick to hire a coach to help us dial expireds. We're super slow to help us with our finances.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll never forget the person, one of my best friends on the planet. We literally just talked about this 3 days ago. And I'll never forget, I told him, I was like, I'm going to go make $250,000 coaching real estate agents on their business and personal finances. And he's like, you are out of your mind. He's like, there's never been anyone to coach people, real estate agents. And how are you going to help real estate agents who may or may not make a lot of money, charge them to do this? And I was like, I don't know, but I do know that they need help. Yeah. So I'll figure out the money, I'll figure out the business, but I just need to go have conversations with people, because I know in 30 minutes, sitting down for coffee, kneecap to kneecap, I can help show Susie how to do a personal budget. I can help her implement profit first at a very basic beginner level. And as that person sells more real estate, we'll be able to figure it out. And, so I unpack so many things, but, a couple of principles they're not necessarily principles, just a couple of similarities that worked all the way through when we worked all the way through this was like, real estate agents don't make as much as they think.
Right.
We all spend more than we care to admit. That generally leaves us behind on taxes and or retirement. Because the two things that give agents the most stress and anxiety is inconsistent income and financial disorganization. Because if real estate agents had a consistent 1, 2, 3 deals coming in, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever. That's one thing. Right? Everybody on the planet, I talk about this in my ebook, every coach on the planet will coach you to go sell more. The 98% will coach you to go sell more. But if you are financially disorganized, you've only fixed half the equation. Because then at that point, you're just trying to out-earn your spending. And if you're trying to get from one side of the lake to the other and you have holes in the boat, it doesn't matter how fast you paddle.
Right.
So I found a niche. I found a spot in the real estate space that nobody wanted to play in. Nobody talked about. Nobody even wants to go there. However, there's a desperate and thirsty need for the information on how real estate agents can sell X amount of houses to actually eventually exit the transaction treadmill.
Yeah, and you bring that up, and it's about, like you said, agents will do you'll get coached up and say, all right, here's how you improve you increase your production, right? Increase your production. Or the other thing that happens is then it's like, oh, I just need to change the values of the houses that I'm going after, right? If I'm just gonna go to a nicer neighborhood and sell more houses in a nicer neighborhood. So that's the two fixes I see all the time, like you said, is more volume, right? Or raise your volume, right? Like that's the two fixes I see with that. But you're spot on with the fact that we still don't see the holes in the boat, right? We as realtors all the time have like leaks in our finances, right? Like we're a $20 subscription and we sign up for a $20 subscription because we're like, it's $20, but you have 10 of them and it's $2,000. It's like, but we don't think about it because it's 20.
Yeah, it's $2,500 a year.
Yeah.
Times 10, it's 25,000.
Yeah.
Right. And and then you add in the things that may or may not generate more business, but we don't get enough juice out of that squeeze. And now you add a 0 or add a comma. And next thing you know, so many times, man, I get on the phone with people day one. I mean, was it today or I think it was this morning. It was literally this morning, 50-year-old agent. Their team, her and her team will sell 60 houses. She sells 15, they sell 45. But there was so much left hand not talking to right hand.
Yep.
That lifestyle had risen to meet or exceed level of income. And so we worked through that. In year 1, they were debt free. And in year 2, they had $100,000 in the bank. And by year 12, 10 years later, $1.5 million net worth, not including real estate that they owned.
Wow.
And not selling more houses. Just consistently selling. She's selling 15, team selling 45 on repeat for a decade. $1.5 million.
That's incredible.
And so as real estate agents are, when we come into conversation or I meet them at events or I see them on Instagram and Facebook and I see we sold 20 houses this month and we sold 300 houses for the year. And I'm like, I can do 2.5% math. I can do 3% math, right? We all can. And, so I start having a conversation, again, no judgment. And I'm asking how was the year? What was the profit margin? What was the bottom line? How much did you pay yourself out of this? And I start hearing crickets or I don't know, or a number that just is not in alignment. I'm going to lean pretty hard and press on the bruise because we at least need to have a conversation.
Yep. Yeah. Totally
'Cause
true.
how long can you do that for and not get the juice that you deserve?
Which then, in my opinion, and I'm guessing yours is probably the same. That's what leads to the burnout in our industry.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm tired and exhausted. I know you've been running on a treadmill at 12 miles an hour selling 40 houses, and you haven't taken the time to slow down to scrape any of it off for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why you're tired. It has nothing to do with the industry. I mean,
Nope.
the real estate industry hasn't, I mean, it's only gotten easier from a production standpoint and like actual selling real estate. I mean, I haven't sold it forever, but like I had people on the team I was on that said like there was no internet to go figure out if a house was on the market. You had to like look in a paper that was 2 or 3 days old and drive by to see if there was a for sale sign in the yard.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, so the logistics of real estate have only gotten easier. So so why are people getting more burned out? I think it's just because they're running enthusiastically in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
They're trying to climb a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall, and they're just stuck on this treadmill over and over and over because they don't have a way to exit said treadmill.
Right. Right. And so your platform and your coaching platform and all that. So that's all geared towards just how do I help this group of people get their shit straight, basically, right?
I mean, yeah, like I was doing it all one-on-one for the first 5 years. And now that I've built it into a group, because I mean, like whether you sell 12 houses or you sell 120 houses or you sell 1,200 houses, the challenges are all the same. They're just either a little bigger or less zeros. And so, yeah, that's why I do it in a group environment to teach people the system. Because again, the system for the most part is the exact same, right? I mean, when we get paid, what is the order of operations, or I call it the path of money, so that Jimmy sells a house, gets paid. Now what? How much can Jimmy get of that $10,000? How much does Jimmy get? How much does the government get? And how much does the business get? Over and over and over and over. Most people have it backwards. They pay their expenses first. Because we were taught that. We were taught that in school. Now, Grandma didn't teach us that. Grandma said, pay yourself first and save for a rainy day, right? And do a budget and put money away and use cash. That's what Grandma said, right?
Yep.
We were taught sales minus expenses equals profit. I was taught that in school.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the basic economics, right?
Yeah, sales minus expenses. Every 95% of CPAs will tell you sales minus profit equal expenses. Look at a profit and loss statement. Sales minus all of the expenses equals profit.
Yeah.
In that scenario, who got paid first?
Everybody but me.
Everybody but me. Money came in, money went out. I got what's left. 2 questions. Where's the 400 grand that your net profit says? Where is it? Where's the money? Okay. You made $1 million, you spent 6, you got 400 grand net profit. Awesome year. I think everyone on this call will take that year.
Yep.
Okay. 2 questions. Where's the 400 grand? Second question, where's the 130 grand you owe the government on the 400 grand? Nobody's got an answer.
Nobody's got an answer.
Nobody. And so what we do inside of the wealth department and the wealth method is we teach profit first, we implement profit first. So we flip and we say sales minus profit equal expenses.
Got it.
And so we have an order of operation that when Jimmy gets paid, Jimmy's getting money first. Then, and for a couple of reasons, right? Who's the owner? We'll use you as an example here, Jimmy.
Yeah.
The real estate, the elite real estate podcast. Who owns that?
I do.
Okay. So you're the owner.
Yep.
Who's the one that's pulling all the levers and doing all the work and setting all the appointments?
Me.
Okay. So if I paid you $1,000 to show up on this thing, most people are going to pay for the streaming system, pay for the recording, pay for the calendar app, pay for the production, and then they're going to be like, hey, I got 17 cents left over. Awesome. Because you buy the fancy camera, you buy the cool lights, you buy all the stuff.
Yep.
Versus, hey, if we got $1,000 that comes in per guest, okay, Jimmy, the owner, needs to take profit for owning the business, for taking risk in owning the business. Then Jimmy, the person that pulls all the levers and goes out and sells the deal and does all the stuff, needs to get paid. That's a percentage. Now the government gets paid. They need their money.
Yep.
And then this percentage is left. Let's call it $400. Yeah, you might have to buy a different camera. You may have to buy some different lights. But does the production still happen?
Yep.
Yeah. The first 6, you might have to figure out how the widgets work and how it goes on live on Zoom or out here to YouTube. But you do it enough, you'll have enough money to be like, hey, I'm going to go find somebody that knows how to all these levers work. And so now we just took your business and created a profit so that when the profit and loss statement comes and we do 50 of these and we got $50,000 worth of revenue, Jimmy got paid $35,000. Got paid $25,000. The government got its 20% off the top. And now we've spent $1,500 a month to make sure that we've got a nice production system.
Oh, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. But you're right. Like, it's the opposite.
It's a complete opposite.
Complete opposite of what we've always been taught. Complete opposite. And
I can sit here and teach most people that are hearing this, and they'll be like, oh, that sounds great. And it lasts 6 days.
Yep.
Because lifestyle has met or exceeded income. They need the money. They might pay themselves first, but they do it in the form of bills. And then in 6 days, they're back on the treadmill.
Yep.
And so that's how we work through and create behavior change. When money comes in, this is what happens to it. ... And then when that money comes home, we do the exact same thing, Jimmy. We say, hey, how much do we give? How much do we save? How much do we invest? How much do we spend? ... Oh, I don't have enough money. You're right. You need to go make more money, which means sell another house. And we need to increase the velocity of income. And so when I was having that conversation with one of my friends and he says, how are you going to charge for this? I said, I'm going to show agents the reason why they need to go sell more houses, not show them how to go sell more houses. Because if I tell you and show you how to sell more houses, but I don't show you why you need to sell more houses, are you ever going to exit the treadmill and get to where you want to go?
No, because I'm just going to sell more houses. Like, I'm just going to try to sell more houses. Yeah.
But when I take Mr. and Mrs. Nelson, I was like, hey, where do you want to be? What do you want? When do you want it? And we start to unpack that. We identify what your Oz is. When's your throw the phone in the ocean moment? What is your Oz, right?
Yep.
And then we craft your yellow brick road. Now you know how many houses you have to sell before you can just take your phone and chuck it into, I call it the ocean. You can throw it into whatever lake that's up there by Michigan.
We have the Great Lakes. I got a few.
Yeah, anywhere you throw it, it's going to hit a lake.
Yeah, I got a few spots. But so inside of your platform, like, do you have it broken down to percentages, like that I want to save or that I want to invest or that I want to do whatever?
Yeah. So a few things that I've created over time. One, stabilize the present to structure the future. I think everyone listening to that should just write that down. You don't have to get it tattooed, right? It doesn't have to be a tattoo. But I think if everyone on 2025 writes down, stabilize the present to structure the future. Let's make sure Matt and Melinda are good. Let's make sure Jimmy is good. Because we all just went through these last 5 years was a massive roller coaster,
Yes.
right? I mean, from 16 or even the last decade, right? 16, 17, 18, 19. I mean, you could throw a stone. If you had a pulse and a license, you could sell 12 houses.
Yeah.
If you had a Facebook page, a pulse, and a real estate license, you could sell 12 houses. I did it. I mean, I give people crap all the time. I think I'm the world's best, greatest real estate agent. Sold every house that ever got listed, every buyer that went under agreement bought a house. I sold real estate in Northern Virginia in 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Greatest real estate market ever, right? I batted 1,000. So if I could sell real estate, anybody could sell real estate. And so we went through 8% rates. We went through a slight recession. And now we're dealing with all the stuff that we're dealing with now in 2025. We got a new president coming in. Nobody knows what the next 3 to 4 years are going to look like. If you do, come to Vegas and I'll take you down to the roulette table and just bet whatever color you want. Right?
The numbers. Yeah, just tell me the number.
Just give me the number. And so I say all of that because most of us don't have an income problem. We got a cash flow problem.
Yep.
And so if we can help people identify what they want, wisdom, what is it that you want? How are you going to get there? What do you need to do to get there? Start learning and understanding and building a relationship with money. Then we can earn. We can go earn the money. I'm in the earning phase. You're in the earning phase.
Yep.
Right? And then as we're earning it, we also have to add age to it. We also have to accumulate with it, which is the A, which is we have to store money for emergencies, for sinking funds, for things that are coming up. We went to EXPCon 4 months ago.
Yep.
Guess what's going to happen in 8 more months? EXPCon.
EXPCon.
Right. So we have to save some of the money we're making so we can go buy a ticket. We can buy a plane ticket. We can go we have to take some of that money and add age to it. Christmas this year, not sure if you know or your listeners know, Christmas this year is on December 25th. So we probably should save a little bit of money every single month so we can buy Christmas presents on Black Friday. Instead of just putting it on a credit card, buying it and forgetting we bought it, and then the bill comes February 1st.
And then everybody panics.
And everybody panics. And everybody blames the economy. And I'm like, no. It started a year ago when you didn't save $100 a month so you could go and buy $2,000 or you could go buy $1,000 worth of presents.
Right.
Or buy the plane tickets to go see mom. Versus, hey, mom can't come home for Christmas because I don't have any money. It's the biggest excuse on the planet.
Yep.
Right? So we get through the wisdom, the earn, the accumulate. Then we go to figure out we need to lend and leverage. How are we going to start lending and investing our money? Are we going to do it through real estate? Are we going to do it through the stock market? Are we going to do both? Are we going to do private equity? Right? Because this all, now the earn, the accumulate, and the lend all go back to the Oz based on when Jimmy's ready to exit the transaction treadmill. When are Matt and Melinda done? That will determine how much we need to invest. What do we invest in?
Yep.
So inside of the wealth department, we're literally going through this, right? It's like, I always say, it's kind of like the church we went to in Northern Virginia. One of the greatest things about it was Pastor Gary walked us through Genesis to Revelations. And it took about 4 to 6 years to go through the Bible. Right? Now his jokes got better every year that we went through, right? But again, it wasn't, hey, we're going to talk a season or a series on this. Now there will be a common themes, but I'm literally walking through a 10-step process over and over and over and over. Now people ask questions about profit first every single week, but I'm not teaching about profit first for a set time. It's weaving it in once, It's like we hit the book of Matthew and then we keep going, but obviously the message is still there, right? We might reference back to it, right? And so we have this wisdom, earn, accumulate, lend. Now we have to track Because if I wholeheartedly believe, Jimmy, if you don't track it, you don't care. It just doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right? If you don't track your workouts, the workouts just don't matter. Now, it doesn't mean you have to track every single thing, but I can promise you this. If you track that you went to the gym, you go to the gym, 3 times a week for 50 weeks, that's 150 times, and you get to the end of the year and you're at 136, I can promise you're going to go to the gym a little bit more because you're at 136 and your target was 150.
Yep.
But if you get to Thanksgiving and you have no idea how many times you've been, you've probably have gained 15 to 20 pounds, and you're going to about ready to go gain another 6 because you're not tracking it. Same thing with our money. Same thing with our time. Same thing with our dates. Same things with our quiet times. It's only for you, right? So we have to track it. This is where the do the math and know the scoreboard comes in.
Yep.
And then last is health and habits, right? You have to be healthy. You have to be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, right? Relationally healthy. And so that's where like all of this comes back through and just, okay, this time I'm going to run through it in the form of money. This time I'm going to run through the wealth method in the form of health. Then I'm going to go through spiritually or whatever. But when you go through that framework, it's amazing how quickly you can go through it and how it bleeds into other things in your life.
It's it's funny. It's so funny that we're talking about this because it's this it's the start of the year. It's January. I just met with a bunch of agents. We did a 90-day business plan. And in that plan, that's one of the things I talk about is if you want to get to however many closings you want to get to, well, how many contacts does that take a day?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you tell me you don't know how many contacts you get per day, I can't tell you that you're going to get X amount of closings because I got to know what you're going to do. It's a contact sport, right? That's what my thing is. But you're right about the money thing. It's the same exact thing. If you don't have the KPIs, the key performance indicators, right? If you don't know your numbers, how do you know what's working or what's not working? Well,
you don't. It's a guess, right? But if for like, and those 90-day business plans are 12 months and, whatever framework you use works.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to know what your Oz is because that phone gets heavy. Right. I mean, January, we had National Quitters Day. I saw it on Instagram. It's like January 10th, National Quitters Day or something, whatever it was. And that's just simply because, the people just don't have a line to the outcome, right? They just don't have a connection from the activities to the outcome because too many people want the outcome, right? They don't know that, hey, yes, they think I have to have a conversation and do an appointment to make $1. But if you keep going back and you show how money, right? You show how every time that you pick up a phone call, right? When you do it, you start with, hey, this is where I want to be. I want to be debt free at the end of the 12 months, and you might owe $40,000. Well, in that you figure out that that's 36 closings, and everything. Well, you can take all of the things that you do. I know you do. Like, okay, how many ratified contracts? How many closings? Ratified contracts? Agreements, appointments, conversations, dials.
Yep.
But then take that number of dials divided into the amount of dollars you want to make, and you're going to come up with a dollar amount per times you actually pick up the phone. Because you just haven't earned this yet. Every time you call, you're earning this. You're getting paid this. It just doesn't go in your pocket until the day of closing.
Right.
But you come back and you show somebody that every time you pick up the phone, whether they answer or not, you just got $25 deposited in your bank account. You just can't use it until you go to closing.
Interesting.
You will make more phone calls.
Yeah. You definitely will make more phone calls.
And I keep, $400, $500, $1,000 sitting here on my desk simply because one, it's a powerful prop.
It is.
Right? It's a nice prop. It's my most expensive prop. Right? But I mean, dude, when you're having a day, just go touch some money. Be like, man, all right. If I go impact people today and serve them and talk to them without an agenda, these are deposited into my bank account in the next 12 weeks. I just have to go impact enough people and serve them without an agenda.
Yep.
And help Jimmy where he is. Because at some point, somebody, it's just something, and it might not even be Jimmy. But if I do it enough and I'm time on task enough, somebody's going to say, hey, coach, I'd love to be in the wealth department because I went through that process 18 times. Because I know how many times I need to talk to Jimmy, or how many podcasts I need to do, or how many Instagram videos I need to do for $1 to show up in my Stripe account. So then it's just serving people.
Yep. And you know, it's funny that you bring this up too. One of the things that I've found personally is like, as you grow into this, and I'm 51, so as you mature, well, I think I matured anyway, but as you grow into life, right, and starting to, and again, growing up, I didn't have any money, but we just grew up we grew up in the we lived in the low income townhouses, but we lived in the low income part of the low income part. Mm-hmm. So it's a 2-bedroom townhouse with 5 of us. So my parents, I didn't learn about wealth. Like, I didn't learn these things, right? I had to figure out these things along the way. And so again, like but then it goes back to what you were saying. Now it's like, I can learn it, and it's only going to last me like 6 days because, I got bills to pay. And it sounded really cool, but that's where the accountability piece comes in. That's where, that someone checking in on you, someone that's checking up on you, checking in on you, that cares about you, that's willing to give back. And that's the most important thing. I feel the more I give, the more I receive.
100%. My friend just posted on this today. Give to give. Give to just give.
Yep.
Zero agenda. I mean, look how much Jesus gave. Look what God gave, right? He gave his only begotten son.
Yep.
Ultimate sacrifice. Just give to give. If you give enough, like, you can't outgive God. You can't outgive the next person. If I just give on 50 podcasts this year, I mean, how many people are going to be in the wealth department if I just give 50 times without asking one person to join?
Yep.
Like, the numbers are ridiculous, right? Same thing, and the same thing with you when you're making your phone calls to real estate, or to the buyers and the sellers, right? The homeowners, your database, the people that are going to come to your event. Invite them just to give them a cup of coffee. Invite to give them an opportunity to tell you about their goals. Like,
simple.
But it's simple, not easy, because we live in this world that we have to have this sale, and we have to do this, and we have to do that. And I'm going through a season right now. Melinda and I are going through a season where I'm challenging some of my own, I don't want to say my own personal values, but my own beliefs of what I thought was true 12, 18, 24 months ago, to be like, can I impact enough people to where we can do X, Y, and Z this much quicker and more efficiently? I'm putting it to the test.
So tell me about that. What are your goals this year? Because it sounds like you got a BHAG. It sounds like you got a big, hairy, audacious goal. So what are your goals?
So the result, let me back up. So I want to make sure I say this right. I've never shared this with anyone. So we're sharing it live here. Right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So Melinda, my wife, has been in corporate America for 15, 20 years. More than that, 20 years. We moved here. She had to get a new job to move here. When we moved, when I say here, Las Vegas, 3 years ago, we lived in 1,000 square foot apartment in Reston, Virginia, like cold, wet, dark, humid, traffic, congestion. I mean, nation's capital, millions of people going the same direction every single day. Like, it was bad. And so we ended up moving to Las Vegas. And one of the things that we had talked about was, 5 years ago when I didn't have any business, I just sold real estate and I was having conversations randomly with people. We asked ourselves the questions like, hey, we paid off all this debt. Why do we live where we live? And it was always about because Melinda's job, and it was where my network was, and it was how and where we could make money, Northern Virginia. And then I said, okay, if we could live anywhere, where would it be? We have no kids, we have no debt. If we could live anywhere, where would it be? And so we wrote down on a piece of paper what we loved, what we didn't like about Northern Virginia, what we loved about where we wanted to. And man, I wrote down, I want to play 300. I want to be able to play. I want to play 100 rounds of golf. I want to be able to play 300 times, have 300 days of sunshine, no state income taxes, no rain, no traffic, high quality outdoor, an outdoor high quality of life. And when we said, hey, where can we get that? Dude, we eliminated 95% of the country in 6 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably even less than 6 minutes.
Because I mean, then we get to, okay, hey, can we do it in Texas? Can we do it in Nashville? Can we do it in Florida? No, I don't like dead center in the middle. Texas is just too dang big. In Florida, you got the weather, you got the hurricanes, and I'm like, I'm out. You got the humidity. Like, I am out. So I mean, we got to Phoenix and Las Vegas very quickly. And then Phoenix, you have the state income taxes. Now, they're not terrible, but they're there.
Yep.
So very quickly, we eliminated 95% of the country. So then we asked the questions, what had to be true? Well, if I went and sold 24 houses and made $750,000 or $500,000, the day I move, my income goes to zero. Selling real estate wasn't the answer. I didn't really want to go build a massive EXP organization. That just wasn't my calling. It happened as a default, but it wasn't the reason. And I said, I'm going to go build this coaching business. I'm going to go be able to build it to where I can have a computer, a phone, a light, all the stuff, and be able to have calls wherever I want, wherever I want. So we did it. Well, part of the way for us to buy the house that we bought here in South Las Vegas, South Summerlin, Melinda needed a job that allowed her to work anywhere in the country. So she found one. So we built this. Melinda found a job, loving it. 3 months ago, she got a call that said, hey, the company's going through some corporate layoffs and your position's being eliminated. Like, did zero wrong, right?
Yep.
Did nothing wrong, corporate layoffs.
Welcome to corporate America.
Yep. And so now, when we went through our goal setting retreat that we did this past December, I said, does she have to go back to work? What would have to be true for Melinda never to have to feel the way that she just felt? So instead of saying, hey, I want to have this many people come into my coaching business and I want to make this amount of money, I went through the board. That's looking at the board. I went through the board and said, hey, when do we want this house to be paid off? When's our throw the phone in the ocean moment? And does Melinda have to go back to work to do it? Now, I want Melinda to go do whatever the heck she wants.
Yep.
But I also don't want her to have to go do something, right? And so, one of the things was a target of ours that came back to, a number of 200 people coming through the wealth department this year, enrolling on an annual membership, on a monthly membership, and a combination of coming to Vegas for in-person workshops. I do 3 workshops a year that are 5 days long that people can come and kind of see, who it is, right? I take them through the mistakes that agents make, the 5 financial mistakes. I take them through the wealth method. I take them, and then they have an opportunity to raise their hand and say, hey, what's it look like to work with you? All of it's free, right? But if I can go impact and get in front of 2 or 20,000 people this year through my videos and your podcasts and stages and sharing this and that, a 1% conversion rate of those people raising their hand to come through the wealth department makes it to where Melinda does not have to go to work.
I love that.
And so now, like that is truly, again, there's no agenda, but that's why I'm serving so many people and turning up the volume on the things that I'm turning the volume up, is because I want to make sure that at the end of the year, Melinda does not have to go back to work. Now, if she wants to, great, but if she doesn't, she won't have to.
Yep. No, I feel that. Like I feel
Right.
that. I feel that. That's
So now, like, you know, when I pull that and I go back through my own filter, I'm like, okay, right, this is how many people come into the wealth department, right? Okay, every time I got a board right here. So every time it's just a tick, right? So I'm tracking how many people that I have to impact. So it's not just this random number. I mean, it's on a board right here that says, you know, I have the names. I have 100 spots and I have the names of the people that have already in.
incredible. It's again, like you said it before, simple, not easy.
No,
You have to track it, right? And then you have to, like you said, look past. Sometimes I talk about this. Sometimes we talk about like looking at the label, and we look at the label and we get caught looking at the label from the inside of the jar, right? Because that's just what we live in, and we just do it every day. And then sometimes you need that person that would look at the label from the outside and go, "Hey, have you ever thought about this before?"
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Why? Because you just get so caught up in looking at it one way.
Well, when you're inside the box, right? You know, and normally I've got a drink here where I can actually literally show you. It's like this has this, like, but you're inside the box. Can you read it backwards? It's generally backwards or upside down.
Yep.
Right. But I'm standing here as like, Jimmy, 70 calories, 3 grams of fat, 15 grams of protein. Like, you need to drink this. No, I'm going to go do this. I'm like, Jimmy, you need this.
Right.
I can read it. You can't.
Right.
Right.
No spot on.
Yeah. So that the label is so true and so powerful for high producers that simply just need someone to ask questions, to lay a proven path, and then just go fill it. Right. I mean, I'm on a journey right now where I'm going to have 2 very powerful people in my life that are going to help me smash this target that we have. That I have to surrender, right? I have to surrender my, that I can go do this by myself, right? I can't. I need Jesus. I need Melinda. I need the coaches. I need the system. I need the admins. I need the logistics to just go do it. And it might cost me a round of golf or 2. It might cost me some early nights or early mornings or late nights. But is it worth it to have the target? Is it worth it next year when Melinda and I go on our goal setting retreat to be like, we don't need to look at LinkedIn anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to hire someone to go fill out or do your job, your interview, or to go, your resume.
Yeah. You're just the thing that you need is just tools in your tool belt, right? You just need those tools in your tool belt, and that's the ability to work them. So I'm going to throw this at you right now, right here. So I'm the co-host of our EXP regional rally here in Detroit. So if you want to come out, we'll talk more about it. But we'll get you at the regional rally.
When I get on a plane, I have 2 requirements. Or I have 2 questions. First of all, what's the weather?
Right.
When is it?
It's in May, so you'll be fine.
Okay, I will come to Detroit in May.
We'll have good weather. So
and so 2 things. 1, what's the weather? 2, where are we playing golf?
That part we can arrange both of those things.
Because I am not going to get on an airplane and not play a golf course that I'll never be able to play again. So
Yep. Nope. I've got the connections. We'll see if we can play Lockmore here at the country club, and we'll be good.
There we go. I mean, how far outside of Detroit are you?
I'm like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So there's some really good golf that's on my list. I'll send you the list. Make it happen. And
I'll see. Maybe we get the Country Club of Detroit, right? We'll see what we
we
can
got
do.
CCD, we got Oakland Hills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's options. There's options.
yeah.
So we'll definitely talk more about that for sure.
Okay.
But man, like this is been so impressive of what you're saying, because just for the simplicity of it, right? Just the simplicity of what you're saying. Like one of the things that changed me and changed my life really was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mhm.
Right? I read the book. You know, I really got ingrained in it, and it really started changing me. That's I read that book. My wife and I we did our first flip, not too long after that. And it was funny when we did that. My parents and her parents alike were like panicked about us doing this, because it was so out of the ordinary, right? It was so out of the ordinary for them. And we basically had to tell them, the way you guys did this, it doesn't work anymore. Right? Like my father-in-law retired from Chrysler after 42 years with his pension, and none of that exists anymore. Like, that's all gone. It sounds great, but none of that exists anymore. So I just find it interesting but one of the things I always missed out on was, and looking back and reflecting on things, I still never found like the rich dad. You know what I mean? I know the poor dad was mine, but I never found the rich dad. Now, you start surrounding yourself with different people, right? And, Curtis Shewell is a great friend of mine, and what he's doing and growing with his stuff here. I watch everything he does, and lean on him. And then, you start to talk to different people, right? Brent Gove, right? Now you're around different people, and now the conversation's different. And you're just like, wait, you can do that? I didn't know that. There's so many things you learn.
Well, and back to like your dad and parents, and I think it's not sexy. Now, back in your parents' days, like there were things that just didn't exist, right? Like you had a pension in Chrysler, but you couldn't go, like they didn't have 401ks that you could invest into the market,
right?
Like through your workplace, right? You had to do that outside. Most people did not know how to do it. Obviously, between the Great Depression and the wars, like so many people were just shell shocked because there were just so many valleys, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? And in the 70s, like people just didn't do it. Now, some people did, but not very many. And so now today, fast forward 2025, like, I mean, do you guys have kids?
Yes. Yep.
How old?
20 and 13.
Like that, your 20-year-old can go and take $500 a month because of time. And even your 13-year-old can go take $500 a month as long as they generate an income, can go invest that a month. And it's millions of dollars in a very relatively short period of time, 30 years, millions, because they have time. Yep. Most people that come into my world, 35 to 55, don't have a dollar saved for retirement. Like the numbers, you just have to save and invest so much more, which is why people, I think, tend to go to real estate. But you grab a 20 or 25-year-old. I've got someone in my wealth department right now. He's 22. I have a 22 and a 24-year-old. And I'm like, I cannot wait until you guys are 45
and retire.
Oh, and like we'll never have to ever talk to another person about buying or selling real estate ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, they sell 2 to 4 houses a month. They absolutely smash it. And I'm like, guys, we're just going to take $2,000 and we're just going to dump it over here for 20 years. We're going to set it and forget it. Well, what about real estate? You will make enough money to where you can go buy real estate, but let's start here. And it's going to be astronomical how much money these gentlemen go save and invest, more investing than anything, over the next 20 years because they started at 22, not 42.
Right. Or 51.
Like me, like you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. And again, that's one of the things that I've really tried to, to now teach my 2 kids is to think differently, right? And to think about investing. Like actually my son, my 13-year-old was with me yesterday. I had to stop in the office to pick a couple things up. So he was with me. But then I kind of like, then I get into these coaching dad moments, right? Then I just started whiteboarding some stuff with him while he was watching it. And I was explaining, how this works, right? Like real estate and how it works and the whole thing, because he's interested in it and he wants to know more. And he's 13. So I'm like, well, 5 years, you can get your license and we can start selling some houses. But I wanted him to understand how and what this means and what it looks like. Because I just never had, growing up, I never had that. Nothing against my parents. They didn't have it either. So it's just, you just learn, you just pass on. But I've been so out of the, like with my two boys, like think outside the box. Don't think, my oldest is away at college, right? So he's at the University of Alabama. And so he's doing the college thing. And I told him when he went there, I said, I don't want you to go there and think normal. Think outside the box. Think of something different, right? You could stay home at Michigan and go to school a heck of a lot cheaper here somewhere than you can going down there. So if you're going to go there, we're going to spend all the money. Make sure you're thinking outside the box career-wise of what you're going to do something different, So he's got big plans and he's networking. He's doing all the right things and we'll see where it takes him, but he's thinking differently, which it's all we can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, and great job on you for, encouraging that, because most of the people that he's going to be surrounded with are just there for the 4 years at school, right? They're just not going to do it. So find the 2 or 3 people that are thinking like that, or the classes or the extracurricular, the after school to the investing club, right?
Yeah.
Or the real estate club. And just go learn, because man, you can learn that at 21. Whew, it can set you up.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing is like, how do I help them get set up for their future and make it easier for them than it was for us, right? If we take the next generation, make it a little bit easier for them and wiser, the better off we all are.
Yeah, and we get told that every time we get on an airplane. Who puts the oxygen mask? Who needs to put the oxygen mask on first?
I do.
Right.
Yep.
So Mr. and Mrs. Nelson needs to get their money right, out of debt, start saving, investing. I'm using you as whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
You as the parent, get your money right, bring your child and explain to them what you're doing and why you're doing it. Teach them, show them, because more kids are taught, or more kids are caught as more than taught, right? They catch way more than they're taught.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so just lead by example. And then when you go set up your Roth IRA, open them up one. When you go set up your IRA, go set them up one. When you set up your high yield savings account, your banking system through the wealth department stuff, go set your child up one. Right now, they don't need a debit card. They might need a debit card, or there's a service out there. I think it's called Green Light. Is great for kids, right? Is incredible for kids, all the way up to 18, and then they can have their own bank account. But and then be on top of it. Be with them. Like, hey, when you and your wife sit down and do your budget, like you don't have to get all into the weeds. It's like, hey, this is how much. Hey, son, this is how much food costs, by the way. Now, I'm not telling you, son, that you can't eat any food. I'm just telling you that to feed this family is $1,000 a month. Right. Yeah. So every time you or my mom or myself, we blindly go buy something, it affects potentially how much money we can go spend on food. So everything has to be intentional. See, we sit down and we go through this. Like, we give this and we save this and we invest this and we eat this and we use this. Like, insurance is, I showed Melinda one time, I was like, when we go through our budget, I was like, can you believe it costs this much for insurance?
It's the worst.
Right. And so, like, again, hey, we have a pool, we have landscaping, we have a house, right? We can clean it, or we can have other people clean it, or we can manage it, we have other people manage it. Like, it's important for Melinda to know, I'm using Melinda as the example, to because if I just carry this, she has no idea how much it costs unless I share it with her, unless her and I are pouring over these numbers on a monthly basis.
Yep.
So she knows how much it costs to do this, right? She knows how much we spend on food. She has just the same amount of right that she has the same amount access to it that I do, right? So it's just this relationship that we've built around the tracking and the health of our financial situation, so that it generally never becomes up. I heard this on a podcast, like, get the money right in your marriage so it never causes a fight.
That's deep.
Like, you want to like stop having money fights, talk to your spouse about money.
Yeah.
Don't hide it, or don't say she did this and she did that, or he did that, and his money and my money. Like, just be adults and have conversation and bring it up and be like, okay, this is what the Plumers now do with their money.
Right. I love it, man. Well, where can we find you? Where can we find all this information?
Yeah, so a couple places. MattPlumer.com, MattPlumer.com, as well as Instagram and Facebook. Coach Matt Plumer on Instagram and then Matt Plumer on Facebook are by far the easiest places to just hop on, send a quick DM, say you heard me on the Elite Real Estate podcast, and we'll start a conversation and see how we can help.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate the time. Go find Matt Plumer. Get your finances straightened out, man. Stop being crazy with your finances.
That's right.
Well, thanks for joining me again. Thanks for joining me on the Elite Real Estate Podcast. We will talk to you guys soon.